Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. My name is Alan Smason, and we hope that you all out there are looking for some really delicious theater tonight. We have a wonderful opportunity to talk with the lead actor and the director of the current production that's on the boards at New Orleans Shakespeare Theater's production of King Lear. And again, we broadcast this on our theatercriticism.com website for Facebook that we have to promote our shows, etc., and also on our YouTube channel. So let me bring in, first off, Jana Mastecky. Jana, welcome. Again, I appreciate your being with us. Again, we are, those of us who are waiting to go on, there is one person out there, at least right now, who didn't give up. We are going to be talking tonight, and again, I have to say that we were scheduled to go about 25 minutes ago. We had some technical difficulties. And we will, just proceed as normal. But Jana, you, of course, were formerly associated. I know you'd done some work with Crest City Stage. Prior to that, I remember seeing you around Le Petit a lot. Tell me a little bit about your background, so people will maybe say, "Oh, yeah, I remember where she's from." Well, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I moved here in 2019. Right before COVID, with my husband, who's a native New Orleanian. And so I found my way to the Big Izzy after 20 years in the Big Apple, and have done a little bit of the circuit that a lot of us do. So I was at Le Petit for a little while, Crest City Stage for a bit. Now I'm at New Orleans Shakes. I've done some teaching stints around town, from Loyola to Southeastern to NOCA to now I'm at Ben Franklin, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm kind of been one of those people who's been in a little bit of everything since I've been here.
Well, we're glad to have you tonight. And again, you're part of the faculty now with Tulane.
No, I'm not. I'm a guest artist. I'm a director, and then I'll be performing in the next one as well. So no, I'm not part of the faculty there. I was part of the faculty at SLU, and then have taught consistently at Loyola, but not as an adjunct. Again, all as just a guest artist.
Yeah, that you had mentioned Loyola, and I was trying to figure out whether or not you were on the faculty now. Is that something maybe you'd like to be offered down the road?
We'll see. I mean,
not up to you. I know.
Yeah, to be continued. As I say, I'm at Franklin, and I love Franklin. I love collegiate students too, so we'll see where all that goes.
Okay, so you can see in the upper right-hand corner there, we've got our symbol for the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival, and we're going to talk a little bit about getting tickets and what have you later on. You mentioned the other play. I don't know that we're supposed to say the name of the play, but it is the Scottish play.
I think in the theater we can do it, but
yeah,
I'm so trained not to say it that I tend to not say it.
Well, during the pandemic, you mentioned the pandemic. During the pandemic, we used this platform to actually present plays and readings and things of that sort. So I kind of revere this space as a theater in itself. So I'm just going to say, before I have to go around the block 5 times or whatever it is and spit 3 times, I'm just going to say the Scottish play. Everybody should know what that is. And one of the characters in the Scottish play is a fellow by the name of Macbeth. I'll leave it like that. That way I'm not referring to any particular play, but a character in the play. Let's get right down to it. Again, King Lear is obviously one of Shakespeare's most noted works. It's often said, a young actor starts out doing Hamlet and then retires, doing King Lear, because they're both fantastic roles. They both show off the acting prowess, if you will, of the individual. Both demanding roles and in different ways. One shows up your youth, and the other shows up your dotage, as it were. So again, I can't think of a better actor to bring on right now than the one I saw on stage yesterday, who nailed it. John Neisler. I want to just say, just one of the best performances of King Lear I'd seen, and of course with a great supporting cast. And we'll talk about some of the people who are in the cast, if not all of the people in the cast. It's not a very large cast, and we have lots of people who are doing multiple roles, which is great, because you give them the ability to come in different scenes that they might be on the sidelines waiting to go back in. So, gives them the opportunity to add strength to the performances of the lead actors as they do multiple roles. So I think that's wonderful too. John, had you ever done this role before in any way?
No, except last year in a reading. And I think you know it well. It's part of the Shakespeare Festival every year, or most years recently. I believe for time reasons, because of some scheduling issues, it won't be this year, but it's unprompted Shakespeare, right? So that's a great conceit that was developed by Graham Burke, who is the interim director of the entire festival. And he's had the great notion to place screens all around the playing space so that not only the actors could just read the play and act it out live in front of an audience, but the audience could watch the actors and read the play along. So it was a great experience. And as it happened, it's not just about a year ago, and now I'm in the position of actually getting to play it. So
you've had 1 weekend now, under your belt, so to speak. And again, the dates, Jana, if you want to just fill us in, so anybody who wants to go.
Yeah. So we opened last week, and we run, and King Lear runs until Sunday, June 12th. And so it's the weekend evenings, Thursday through Saturday, 7:30, and Sunday at 1:30.
And you started a new practice of starting the Sunday shows, the matinees at 1:30. I think you all figured out that a lot of people come to the campus to see some of the Tulane summer lyric shows, and that sometimes they start at 2:00. You can get an early jump. You can get your audience seated, et cetera. I think that's a smart thing on your part, because if both shows started, talk
to Graham about that one. But yeah, it seems to be working well.
Yeah, no, the thing is we don't have a competition right now, but you will in a couple of weeks. They'll probably have summer lyrics starting up, so it's a good thing to have to get that out of the way. And again, I think the audiences that go to summer lyric are a little bit different than the ones that go to the Dixon Annex, which is where the performances take place for the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival. Again,
you can see both.
Yeah. John, you said you'd never done the role before, other than as a reading. Was there a particular performance of King Lear that you utilized as a compass from which you to base your role?
I talked to another actor who's going to be playing the role in about 2 years, and we agreed that the smartest thing you can do when there is a great body of work, both on film and in written record, is to go back and look at everybody before you, or as many people as you can. And my favorite of the things that I have seen, you can go see it on YouTube right after we finish talking, if you all haven't already. And it's Ian McKellen's 2008 version, which is for film, but and directed by Trevor Nunn. So I think that's the most human one. And as it happens, on my first meeting with Jana, I knew that I was in the right hands, because the first thing she said was, this is going to be about the relationships. This is going to be about these people, as well as their epic and mythic sense and all of that. So he's the guy for me. But I wouldn't discount, and I don't say it as like something you're supposed to say, but Olivier is really good from 1980. I think it's 1980, 81, but she's really good. That sounds silly to say. I think we all know that, but I was surprised at how affecting and human his portrayal was.
Yeah, and I agree. It's one of the ones that I've enjoyed through the years. We mentioned through the years, we started this up in the pandemic, and for a very first time since I've been doing this, because in all transparency, I haven't been feeling well today, but I'm bringing water into the room. But I'm going to ask Jana and John what they brought in, because normally I don't drink water. So what you have, Jana?
I got a rosé, a dry rosé.
Or is it sparkling cucumber mocktail? So.
I love it. I always tell people this is not to be taken lightly, but it's the opportunity for us to get together and all of us to share an experience. And what can you do all together? Other than breathing air, we can have a drink, and that's kind of what we wanted to do during the pandemic, to share with one another. Of course, in many cases, it was a little bit more potent than the water that I brought to the room tonight. Again, let me throw a couple of things out there. First off, tickets. If you're looking for tickets, I'm going to throw this up here and let everybody see NewOrleansShakespeare.com. Again, that's the URL, and again, you can get tickets there. Or if you want to, you can also get tickets available by going to the
box office number there.
The box office. So you see, you can go to the 504-865-5269, or you can go online, both ways. And as much as I have to say it, there were some seats that were available, and it was all mostly filled up. But on Sunday afternoon, I would have liked to have seen a few of those remaining seats sold. So those of you who have not had a chance ever to see King Lear, or perhaps have seen it in the past and had maybe not had a chance to see it lately, again, an incredible performance. John Neisler is in the title role. Jana is directing. But we want people to know that those of you who are going to be going in, there's some wonderful supporting roles, and I'm going to throw the pictures up because we don't have a lot of cut lines, etc., like you would have in a magazine or a newspaper. But again, some of these performances, y'all can just agree with me and just say, there is the king, full of hubris and pride, which probably go by the way of the wind. By the end of the show, he's lost a lot of his royal bearing, as it were. He's gone through a lot of changes, and this is a theatrical piece, really about change, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a reckoning for him toward the end.
Yeah.
That's part of the journey that he takes. I think what's interesting to me about this play, and I guess the take that I had on it, I've seen, I saw Glenda Jackson on Broadway do Lear. I saw the RSC at BAM in New York. And those were all lovely, beautiful, large scale, high budget productions. Even given the restraints of a smaller black box theater, I guess maybe that's just not my style. And I was really excited about doing this very massive epic play in a black box that required a stripping down of a lot of those production elements that sometimes are so central to Shakespearean productions. And in stripping those away, it allowed us as a company and an ensemble and as artists to really focus on these relationships and the broken lines and the heartbreak and the humor sometimes with who these very real people are, even though sometimes with Shakespeare they're distant in time and experience. So that's really kind of what has led me, in directing this production, is for these 12 actors, and we have cut it down considerably in cast size so that half the actors are doubling.
Right.
But that real ensemble feel, and I think there's been a real, despite the headwinds of a very short rehearsal process, I am extraordinarily proud of these actors doing this work, going so deep. We've done a lot of scene work, and in that short amount of time with this big of a play, sometimes that's not, you're not afforded that luxury. But we prioritized it, I think, as a cast and as an ensemble, and I think audiences will see that work when they watch the play.
And while it is the tragedy of King Lear, you touched on something. There is humor in the work. The words come through, and there is quite a bit of humor that will come through. It's not there constantly, but it is there from time to time to kind of like lighten the work as it goes along. You agree, John?
Absolutely. In fact, I'd say one of the most funny things I get to say is also one of the most topical, which is when Gloucester, who has lost his eyes, and I are sitting together, I say to him, "Get thee glass eyes, that like a scurvy politician, you may seem to see what you do not." And that always so far has gotten a great big reaction from everyone, regardless of their views of the current scene.
Well, again, it does say a lot about human nature. That I think Shakespeare really was one of the best people of capturing human nature. The quest in this one, in particular, for power. The three daughters who are given, if you will, the keys to his kingdom, and then for other reasons, one doesn't feel up to it, doesn't feel that it should be something that she should take on the other two who are conspiring against one another and their own father. But again, early on, you've got that, as I said, you've got the crown firmly in place. You're in charge firmly, and then things sort of go south at that point.
Yes,
So I think you've got James Bartell there, and the other actor,
Yiannopoulos. Yeah.
And he's been in a number of things too. I've seen him, and he's a good actor. Again, I'm not quite sure. I think James is actually going to be in the second play coming up as playing one of the witches.
Right.
I asked about that.
Yeah, there are five of us from this cast going into the next show.
Yeah. So it's good when you've got the ability to do it, but it does, I think, add extra responsibility to get it right and to give enough, I guess, time to both parts. The roles are not given short shrift, as it were, for one and the other. You really have to concentrate.
They're really functioning. If you look at the actors like Ryan and Zara and James and Anya, who are in this one and then going on to Macbeth and the next one, that is a very classical repertory style schedule that they're going to be holding. I'm doing the same, but I don't envy all the Shakespeare lines they have to hold in their head for this show and then learn the new ones for the next one.
Understood. And again, great actors on the stage. You mentioned Zara. She actually plays Cordelia and the Fool, correct?
Yes, that is a common. Well, I don't know how common it is. It is done.
Well, sometimes, because obviously she's not on stage, constantly, so she has the ability to.
Well, and thematically, those two characters are the most overt truth tellers in the story, and so it makes sense to pair them, just as France and Edgar are paired, and the King of France and Edgar, and there's a through line there as well. So we were thoughtful about that. I was thoughtful about that. It wasn't just who's available when. It was how do these stories sync.
Well, I'm trying to see if I can find that. There's Anya again.
Anya and Ryan and Jeff Sugarman. Jeff Sugarman is joining us from LA.
Very, very. Again, I think we saw that one earlier. We got again.
There's John doing his thing.
Yeah, John. Do you find that the trajectory of the role is one that you can easily map as an actor, that starting off from a position of great power to one of one lacking power, if you will, who throws it all away in a sense, or has it thrown away as a result of his well, what would you say are the other things? I said pride and hubris. Anything else you want to add to that?
I do think that pride is really at the heart of it. I think you hit it on the nose for sure. It's an easy one to look at. He starts here and he ends here. That's pretty clear. But I'll be honest, though, for me, I spent a lot of time thinking about the places in between and what exactly it is that is making him mad and what that madness is like. And I'll keep my own secrets about what I think it's like, and I'll let the audience decide based on what they see of my performance. But I'm really interested in that very thing that you talked about, which is how does he get there? And what are the things that move him? And what also almost helps him to stay sane for a minute. The Fool is a great example. And by the way, if you won't if you don't mind a little trivia, one of the most famous examples of that doubling of Cordelia and the Fool, at least in my lifetime, is Diana Rigg, who played both on stage early in her career. So, and it dates back at least to the 19th century, maybe before. So it's it's an idea of doubling them that's been around. I think the original idea was that the famous actor Robert Arlen, who played the Fool, who did all the Fool parts in the latter part of Shakespeare's writing career, that he was playing the Fool, and the idea that maybe he also played Cordelia, because the two roles never appeared together.
Interesting, yeah. And of course, back then we all remember women's roles were played only exclusively by men. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's also, I just got to tell you, from a casting perspective, you have to have someone that you feel can do that, right? It's not just as simple as putting these two together because they're not on stage at the same time. And I got to tell you, Zara, you know, from the minute she walked in that room, I was like, you're the person that can do that. And I think she does admirably.
Yeah.
She's
quite wonderful. And again, I don't have unfortunately all the pictures. I was able to find one there. There she is again with John. And of course, the other wonderful actor, Silas Cooper, who comes by way of NOLA and has been in so many productions. He adds great worth to the performances, as well as in a supporting role. But you know, again, it's an important role. He's
on a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
his role is doubled, but between playing Kent and then Kent as Caius and then he's got a lot on his plate. He's got 3 different iterations of a character he's doing up there.
And again, those of you who are interested, there he is with Zara and John, and he's obviously in the stocks, not the kind of stocks that we talk about in trading these days. But again, this is a bit of John. Again, we've got the Duke there, who's lost his eyesight. We know that that's in there as well. I don't want to reveal too much about it as to how or whatever. Interesting staging too. I wanted to mention that you've got a central, almost like a pedestal that the players play upon. What was your thought in that? The set design was by whom?
Well, James did it. By the way, that was Anya and Jake. Yeah. Just to give them their mention. So I knew I wanted to do it in the round. That was my first pitch to Graham. When he mentioned, I had been in the loop and I'd seen other Shakespeare shows there. It sort of feels to me like Lear becomes this either grandiose production that I would liken to the Broadway or the BAM show at RSC that I saw, or if you're in a space that doesn't afford that scale, which the Lupin is not, being a black box, it was really clear to me from the minute that I walked in there, I wanted it sparse. I wanted a bare stage. I wanted it in the round. And I wanted us to focus on these actors and their relationships. And that was the story that I wanted to tell. Now, you know, I have a dear friend in New York who is a beautiful director. But he would say, well, if you can't convince them, you confuse them, right?
Yeah.
You know, you put some bright, shiny lights up there and some disco balls, and then you might not. And so it's kind of a high wire act to do this massive of a play. The actors have nowhere to hide. The audience is 3 feet from where they are. So if you don't believe it, there's not a chasm of an orchestra pit that's 30 feet wide to cushion that disbelief. And so we have worked really hard, given this staging, that our moments are honest, our relationships are real, the story is clear. And I think that the very sparse staging supports that. I mean, you know, we do have, I think, some pretty fantastic design elements. James has done a beautiful job with projections and
James Lanius, right?
Yeah, look at that picture. Like, what kind of magic is that? That's Brittany Warren's picture.
Yeah, Brittany is excellent. You know, again, yes, the crown symbolically caught midair. That's
yeah. I mean, I couldn't try to make that picture for 3 days if I tried. Anyway, so the design, I think the thing is that our design elements, so including sound with Amara, like they so beautifully support the simplistic nature of this production. And I think I'm very pleased with the way it's come together to tell this version of this story.
And I wanted to say something. You mentioned Amara Skinner, right? For her work with sound. She was up in New York recently. She had an opportunity to get, I think, a degree up there and left New Orleans, but she's back now, right?
Well, I called and I don't know that I had to beg, because we have a working relationship prior to this. So it wasn't a cold beg, but I knew that if I could have anybody I wanted on that front, it was Amara. And thankfully they were available to come down. It's like we've worked on enough shows at this point that, they can kind of read my mind, which is so helpful.
And again,
this is Ragini, Nia
Right.
Ragini, and that's Ryan Hayes.
Yes, we haven't had a chance to mention them, and that's again one of the daughters, and I don't want to make the mistake of saying it's Reagan. It's guttural, right? Yeah, yeah. So and they're the two sisters who get a little power hungry and set everything on its course. Again, I don't know if you can completely blame the sisters. You might say they're no worse off than they were raised by their father, in a sense. And he became king, obviously, by being ruthless at times. And I think they probably took on some of those characteristics because that was the way to survive, in a sense. I mean, we imbue the qualities in our children that we expect to have them use for coping mechanisms, if you will, so that they'll have a better life than we did, so to speak. And maybe they were trained that way. I mean, maybe they were evil and bad to begin with, but I kind of feel like they must have been watching their father, while he ascended to the crown, and perhaps they took lessons that maybe were not intended. Believe it at that. What do you think about that, John?
Yes, I think that's spot on. The fact is he's not the best father, and he, as so often is the case, even today, you hear stories in families where first kid, second kid, trouble, some bad parenting happens. There's a break, and then the last child really going to make an effort with that child, and we feel like we can fix all our mistakes and maybe do a better job. So that's where Cordelia comes from, in my view. I think he realizes he doesn't like how his older daughters are growing up, and God forbid he should blame himself. There's that pride again, but he absolutely thinks I want to do better on some level, and maybe he does just a little bit. I think he's shocked. But one of the things that probably could have changed the whole trajectory of the play was, were there a woman's touch? Were there a queen? Unfortunately, they're getting their lessons from the king rather than it's true. Getting a little bit of the heart, the humanity that would be coming from a mother. I have to say it does not speak terribly well of Lear, that everything that he says about women is negative. Everything. Until the very end, when he talks about Cordelia's voice as she's lying dead in his arms. And he says she had her voice was gentle, low, and an excellent thing. And that's the nicest he can be. About gender. So I think that informs how he probably treated his children, maybe that had something to do with the way he treated his daughters. Yeah.
Well, there's that moment, John, that I love when you are speaking to Goneril about sterility and fertility and, cursing her about the inability, to have children. And there's something in that moment, and I think this is where we got kind of deep very fast, is that's awful for her, right? It's public, it's awful, and it's maybe the worst thing somebody could say to you as a woman. And so I think oftentimes these characters, be it Lear, be it Goneril, be it Regan, be it Oswald, be it any of these characters, be it Iago and another, they're painted with these evil brushes. I think my position as an actor, and maybe that's how I was trained at the Actors Studio, is, they don't think they're evil. They're thinking that they're doing the best that they're doing what they have to do.
Sure. And he has been hurt by her and feels that he has every right to be cruel. From his point of view, he's coming from a place of hurt too. That's true.
So I think for me in this play, when I keep talking about relationships when I do anything with this play, and that's maybe tiresome at this point, but it's so key to like what I wanted us to find, right? What I wanted us to find.
It's funny about that, because leaning into that, you would think that then it just becomes a kind of soap opera, but really it animates the story, it animates the politics, it animates everything. So I think one of the nicest compliments that we've gotten so far, at least to me, is when people say, I could really follow this story.
Yeah,
I got this story from you. And I think that's because we invested in the relationship so much, as Jana led us there.
Right. The director has so much to say in the way that is all fleshed out. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Jana or John, but you talked about Shakespearean villains. There's a piece that Patrick Page did in Washington and took it to New York called All the Devils Are Here. And he talks about the construction of the Shakespearean villain. And he really gives you a sympathetic treatment as to what you had suggested, that they're really not evil incarnate. It's just their makeup. It's their character, the way that they were upbringing brought them to that.
Look at Wicked. Look at the whole Jerry Maguire novels that have made, it's all about understanding why the Wicked Witch of the West is not so bad.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So again, I don't know if you ever get a chance to see, Patrick's fantastic in the work, but it really gives you a lot of insight into Shylock, and of course into Iago, and of course into Macbeth's motivations as well, and Lady Macbeth. Again, I think that these are not unknown to Shakespeare in terms of them being accessible people. They are from the ranks of humanity, and sometimes we have a blemish or two that we have to show, and unfortunately it has consequences. But again, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the moments that I love so deeply, and it is very much, I think, based on how John is playing it, but in a moment with the Fool, when the Fool is trying to create some levity, John, I'm gonna not say your line right, but it's, I have wronged her. Is that right? I
did her wrong.
I did her wrong.
Yeah.
And there's such a deep humanity in that very specific moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is one of my favorite moments in the whole show, because it's just so like, oh, how many times have each of us felt that and just not been able to say it?
Yeah. And that Alan, is like what you were talking about as we began, which is this notion of how do you get from the beginning of Lear to the end of Lear? And to me, that's the very first little awakening.
That's the first time that we see that, like, oh, he gets that something's not. He's a human being. Mm-hmm. He's not this broad, evil, mean man.
Yeah, as my
Right.
friends from Boston would say, light dawns on marble head.
Yeah. And I think it's that line. It's that line and the way you're doing that line. And I just look at that and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's good. It's really fun to play those revelation moments for him, because you can make a case for how far he does or doesn't get as a person, and improves or not, but he tries. And I think there's something beautiful in that Shakespeare's trying to tell us too. Patience he talks about in this play a lot, and James Bartell as Edgar, and the poor Tom is fantastic with ripeness is all. The notion of we can just bear up and be ready for what happens, and just accept that, and know that we are going to just move forward no matter what. And it doesn't really matter how far he gets. Does he become an angel at the end and fix everything? Because it's a tragedy, you could probably guess maybe not. But you can admire the human, very modern notion of just resilience and moving forward and doing your best in whatever situation you're in.
Well, again, it's a fantastic work. Again, those of you who are looking to get tickets, they're still available online at neworleansshakespeare.com. And again, we also have them, as we earlier had placed by telephone at 504-865-5269. That's the unified number for all of the plays now, not only Shakespeare, but also Tulane Summer Lyrics. So that number probably should be indelibly etched into your mind, so that you can call for any tickets for any of the performances at Tulane coming up. And again, I want to thank Jana Mastecky for being with us, and John Neisler. Again, fantastic performances going on stage right now with the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival. Again, how many years is this? It's 33? Is this what
this is 33, and
yeah.
I do have some information to share with you about what's coming up next.
Please, because I know that it's not just plays. They also have, you mentioned John earlier, the Unprompted, and there are a couple of other things. So go ahead.
Wednesday, May 27th, so in a couple days, will be the Fools Ensemble. Improv comedians create one of Shakespeare's lost works on the spot with audience suggestions. That should be a lot of fun. It's great for our younger folks too, teens, tweens. And then after that will be the Scottish play. I think we can say it here, Macbeth. June 26th, that will be starring David Lind as our title lead.
And David was so fantastic in the Layman trilogy, correct?
I can't wait to be in a world with David. He's fantastic.
So those of you who like Layman trilogy, he's coming back. That's great. Okay, go ahead.
He will be playing Macbeth. That's directed by Graham Burke. And then the season at New Orleans Shakespeare will close with Molière School for Wives. It is an adaptation by Professor Ryder Thornton on July 13th. He's the same artist who translated The Imaginary Invalid last summer. So those are the things that are happening this summer. You have 2 more weeks to see John be brilliant as Lear. And I mean, I'm not that nice. I wouldn't say it. He's brilliant.
Yeah. He absolutely reigns on the stage. Absolutely, as king. I would also, I'm trying to remember, you got here late, John. John, how long have you been in New Orleans?
2008.
Okay, so you came from of Tennessee, was it?
I'm a military child, so from all over, but I spent a number of years in Chicago area and met my wife, Wendy, out in LA.
And shout out to her. She's a great actress in her own right as well. As I said, makes those wonderful cakes from time to time. And I don't know what she's going to come up with. Maybe for the closing, maybe she'll come up with something edible. That'll be in conjunction with it. But it would be remiss of me not to mention an actor who was considered part and parcel one of the great figures with New Orleans Shakespeare years and years ago. Unfortunately, he died very, very suddenly and tragically. Gavin Maley. I don't know if you know anything about the story about Gavin, but he was one of this city's very best actors and excelled at doing a lot of the plays with the Shakespeare Festival. And they have set up a fund through the years that is probably still available. But anybody who ever wants to make a donation to help with the future running of plays and things of that sort that they're going to be doing for the Shakespeare Festival, I always suggest that they make a donation in Gavin Maley's memory, because he really touched so many people. He was such a great actor, not only with Shakespeare, but specifically every summer we could always look forward to seeing some incredible work from him as well. Again, John, great version of King Lear. Jana, congratulations for putting it all together. The cast is all fantastic. I can't really find any problems. I mean, in terms of if I were going to say this person was a little bit less or whatever, I do find it interesting that although we talk about in the Scottish play, the out damn spot, trying to wash off the blood. You do have blood in the middle of that pedestal, as it were, that is spilled, and it stays for the remainder of the play. They do sort of bypass it. They don't step in it, etc. I don't know if that was your direction as far as it goes, but it's
it's interesting with this, and I won't keep us longer, but everybody dies. It's like Hamlet, like everybody ends up, or at least most people die. Like lots of people die. And so you either go all blood, no blood, whatever, right? We can't have everybody dying on stage because we can't have a cast of 35, right?
Sure.
So we need them to just logistically not be there and come back. But we chose two moments, the fight choreographer, who I love, Joel, and I, where we felt like blood was necessary.
Yes.
And one was when Edmund cuts himself.
Correct.
And the other is Gloucester's eyes. And so we knew that, and we cut out all kinds of other bloody things.
Yeah.
But we knew in doing that, there was a risk that blood would be on the stage. But hopefully,
there is violence. It's not bloody. This is King Lear. It's not Titus Andronicus. So be aware of that. But again, fantastic work. Congratulations. I say break legs, everybody. On this particular version of what's a time-honored work by William Shakespeare, and I guess in terms of the probably the top three. I mean, most people will come up with Hamlet, King Lear, and there'll be probably a couple others, Romeo and Juliet or whatever, that'll come up as well. But those are, in terms of acting credits, etc. People really enjoy seeing Lear and really enjoy seeing it done well. And I say plaudits to everybody who's involved in this production. Thank you very much. And again, my apologies for us starting a little late tonight, but we had a lot to discuss. And again, as it is, we've gone about 43 minutes almost to discuss this. It's an important play, and I think that you should.
I'll give one last plug.
Yes, go ahead.
I've been doing this for a while now. I'm no spring chicken. Spent 20 years in New York and beyond, and this for me is a real career highlight, to be at the Shakespeare Fest with this particular group of people. I think they're extraordinary, and yes. I hope that New Orleans audiences will come see their beautiful work. It really is worthy of any stage in the country, and I say that having been to a lot of stages in the country. So I really I'm humbled to be in the room with artists. This was really a collective effort. This was the best ideas in the room win, and there were a lot of really good ideas that weren't mine. And I'm just so grateful for having had this opportunity, and I hope that others will come and see what they do.
Well, I appreciate you being with me tonight. And again, we're going to put this up. It's going to be archived online. We'll share this out, let people see it. And again, I want to thank everybody who was here tonight. John Neisler, the title role being played on the boards at Tulane, the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival, in King Lear, and Jana Mastecky, the wonderful director who I think now probably likes to consider herself a New Orleanian.
I mean, I've been married to a New Orleanian for 30 years almost.
Yeah.
So I think I get don't I get some kind of extra credit?
Yeah. We're gonna give you a card. You're in.
I want a card.
We'll look forward to seeing this work, everybody out there. And again, I want to thank you. I'll just stick around for a little bit. I'm going to say goodnight. But again, thank you, John. Thank you, Jana. This is Alan Smason again, NOLA Theater Talk. We discuss various plays, etc., throughout the year on the NOLA Theater folk Facebook group, on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, and my own YouTube channel. And again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And again, as always, I'll see you at the theater.